Hey guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be having a conversation about the top investments from 2022, do a little bit of a review, see what worked out, see what didn't, and see if a lot of these products are worth all the hype. But of course, before we jump into it, as always, if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you to do so each and every week. And then we've got 3 winners each and every week as well. On top of that, if you don't know, you can help support the channel by checking out any of the links down in the description below, whether it be joining the Discord, checking out our website for our official game store E4 or PokemartUSA's online website, and then lastly, checking out the Patreon. Monday, however, is the day where we do our weekly giveaway announcement winners. So if you, of course, entered in, this is going to be the time that you can see if you are one of the 3 winners. So drum roll, without further ado, revealing the 3 that won for this week. It is J Zeddy Boy 15, Saul Cortez Alvarado, and then Chris Attilano. So shout out to you 3. You guys are the winners for the week. As always, if you want to claim your prizes, all you have to do is message me through the Discord, and then I will, of course, get back to you guys as quickly as I can, and we can start the process of verification to send the packs to you guys. But now, jumping into today's video. So I wanted to do a little bit of a review. One of the things I've done, now being officially a year old as a channel, is when we were going into 2022, I created a full video of, hey, what are the best products kind of for 2022? What do I like a lot? What do I not like a lot? Etc., etc. So we're going to be reviewing both some of those products, and then we're also going to be reviewing some other products that I didn't recommend and just see how their overall performance is done. And I'm going to break down some things that we need to consider when looking at it. So the first item that we're going to be taking a look at, and I will make my face a little bit smaller just because it is quite large. Evolving Skies booster boxes, right? So if you were a part of the channel, one of the items that I had recommended at the time was $100 buying Evolving Skies booster boxes. I feel like we can go over this one briefly because most people already know. Evolving Skies booster boxes are at $280. So was it a good investment? Was it not a good investment? Quite obviously, yes, it was a good investment. It was the right choice in terms of being able to pick it up $100. Now, almost pushing $300. Could we have foreseen this? You know, it was entirely possible to make predictions, but in this fast, in this quick of a pace, that would have been a little bit more difficult to kind of decipher. So next reprint cycle around, we know that, hey, Evolving Skies, we had that opportunity going into the start of 2022 to pick it up at around $100. If that large reprint does drop the price down to $120, $140, $100, you know, of course, like I said before, patience is always key when it comes to picking them up the next time around. But, you know, you got to be able to know that the volatility for this item is extremely high. And so we could see a return of those prices. Once again, please be patient when it comes to it. If it just drops to 160, don't immediately hop in because who knows, it could drop to 160 and then a week later it could drop down to 100. So you got to always be patient with that. Next item we're going to quickly go over, pretty much very similar thing, Brilliant Star booster boxes. Prices for this item at the lowest were around $113. Of course, it never really got a reprint. It technically, you know, got a reprint for some distributors, but never one to where it fully was able to make an impact on the market. So whether you, of course, saw that effect on the market, you know, it was like $5 difference, maybe at best. And from there, the prices have been doing nothing but just continuing to climb. Obviously, this is Pokedata.io, so prices are a little bit suppressed if you're comparing it to a TCG player, but it's nicer looking on a graph this way. So prices for this are around 175, 180-ish. So you invested at around $113. This was, of course, one of my items that I did discuss as part of a really good potential investment opportunity. And I think that if this item were also to get another reprint, we know the historical value of it. However, here's the question we have to take into consideration when looking at this one and comparing it to Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies had a large amount of product that was originally printed, and for that reason the prices did go down to 100. Brilliant Star did not, and it hasn't had a huge reprint. So the question is it going to have a, you know, massive impact to the point of where it goes sub $100. If we have a tiny reprint, what's going to happen? There's a lot of factors at play, but if you guys want my honest opinion, of course, I think we could see a Chilling Reign effect. Chilling Reign only had one wave, and then its wave 2 got delayed all the way until the end of this last year, and then prices for it absolutely tanked down to like $75. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen with Brilliant Star, but I am saying, based on the fact that this is a pretty scarce booster box to begin with, that it wouldn't surprise me if the supply was naturally or artificially small to begin with, and now we can see that kind of adjustment made when we do get a reprint. Of course, only time will tell with that. Now, this is an item that I want to take a look at, and you know, we can talk about it in terms of, hey, was this a good investment? Was this not a good investment, when kind of looking at it in terms of the review? Because there was a lot of opportunity for this item to be picked up at $40. I don't know of many people that didn't really have that opportunity, because it was so readily available when it first came out, but it was one that I was telling people, you gotta scoop up as quickly as possible. Obviously, at the time, you were able to pick it up at $50 online for most places, was kind of your like worst case scenario. And even then I was like, it's a good price. Well, if we go and look at the overall price history, obviously, of the item itself, it did start to climb. And of course, you know, like I said, not represented properly on this chart comparatively to TCG Player, but it was pushing about $90 to $100 a box. But then, as we can see, there was a drop off in price where it did go down to that kind of 60-ish price point. So if you look at it from that regard, you know, at the worst, after it went down because there was a resupply at Walmart, the item itself had gone up nearly 150% in value. Since the retrace of it, it has gone down to only 50% return. Saying only 50% is a crazy thing to say, because that is still an extremely good return for an item like this, which is extremely high demand. Now, does that necessarily mean that we couldn't see more resupply happen? It's entirely possible, but we know for certain that just based off of the initial resupply, it wasn't a big one, it was a small one, but a resupply just enough was able to drop the price quite drastically. But we saw the potential for it to hit $100+. And so I think that when you look at this item and the long-term possibilities, if you're saying to yourself, okay, well, if it's valued at, you know, roughly around $60 now is what you're able to get it for, sure, it would have been nice to have picked it up in store if you can for $40, or if you find it in a local Walmart these days for $40. But if you can pick it up for that $60 price point, knowing the inclinations of what it could do in the future, then that's a potential good opportunity, right? And so the whole point of today's video too, if you haven't already guessed it yet, we're breaking down the items that we've seen perform the best, both ones that are more than likely going to get a reprint or have had a reprint or not. And we're kind of discussing that in terms of, hey, was this a good investment? Was this not a good investment? And then we're going to also look at some that more than likely also aren't going to get a reprint. And then, was it a good opportunity at the time compared to now, based off the hype surrounding it? So we're just breaking down a bunch of different products and kind of doing that, like, hey, how did we do? How did the performances go? Was 2022 a year of opportunity? And I think that it totally was, because there was a lot of really good opportunities at the time. Which, speaking of which, moving on to our next product, Celebration Ultra Premium Collection. Now, here's where I take a crap on this one. Obviously, if you were able to pick it up for $120 and you were able to flip it at its high point, I think it was pushing $400 at one point, then sure, you made a really good flip, obviously, scalping. But if you're not a scalper, which we don't condone scalping, and you were just someone that obviously wanted to pick up the item at a reasonable market price, we saw that the price did drop all the way down to $200 at its final wave. Of course, with that being said, the price climbed all the way up to $360. So if you're saying to yourself, you know, best case scenario, you picked it up at that resupply point of $200, and then you, of course, then flipped it at around that $380 price point that it did kind of re-get up to, or maybe even $400, I think it pushed, you still almost doubled your money, even after buying it at $80 over MSRP. So what's more or less to say about this, and I, of course, want to always let this be known, this is not financial advice, I am not a financial advisor, but for those people that are really scared when it comes to Charizard Ultra Premium collections right now because you bought in super high, of course, patience is always going to be key, and dollar cost averaging is still a strategy you can do when you look at a product like Celebrations Ultra Premium Collection, which sure, it wasn't printed nearly as heavy, but we do know the demand for both products is very similar in both regards. So it's entirely possible that you could see something like that happen for the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. It's going to take more time, obviously, being an item that had so much more supply. And of course, the market is in a lot different of a place. It's not a Celebrations product, but it's still one that there's opportunities to make for it long term. So it's really nice to take a look and say, hey, Celebrations product, it did really well on the rebounds. And of course, with that, we could see that happen potentially to the Charizard boxes because it's a Charizard box and people love Charizard boxes. So of course, you always want to take this into consideration. Very interestingly enough, though, the product itself has gone sideways for the past 6 months. It doesn't really surprise me. I think that there's definitely a cap out point for explosive growth for items like this, because for one item, people spending $400 on that is extremely difficult for it to continue to move as more money is being involved. It's not like a stock. You can't just split it, right? And so that incentivizes those who don't have as much money to, invest in, right? So that's another thing you have to look at it in that regard, right? When it comes to stocks, if let's say Apple goes up to, $2,000, and then they say, hey, well, the average consumer can't spend $2,000 on a stock. Let's drop it down to $10, and they break the share split. Obviously, it's going to bring in a whole new wave of individuals investing in Apple because they've got more opportunity to buy in at a cheaper price per share. Of course, the shares have been more or less diluted because there's more in supply now, but same theory can't exactly happen when it comes to Celebrations. The only way to correlate that regard would be reprinting, but we're not going to see that obviously happen more than likely for any Celebrations product. But finishing up Celebrations product, however, the Pokemon Center exclusively trainer box. Sorry if it's a little cut out. This is an item that was very interesting. I had a lot of people ask me questions when this item first came out on, hey, Eli, is this a good opportunity to pick up? What are you guys' thoughts? This was one of my top pickups in 2021. I wouldn't be surprised if it was my top pickup. I'll have to go back and look at my videos, but I was very, and I still am, don't get me wrong, ETB happy when it comes to a lot of my investments. And this one was no different. This was one that I said, hey, Celebrations, it's one of those middle products. It's a 25th anniversary product. It's a specialty product. And I love me some Pokemon Center specialty products with all those other factors. This thing's gonna be a huge success in my personal opinion, right? And so at its low, $65 is what we were able to pick it up for. And then at its high, currently speaking, I think it's sitting on TCG Player around $110, $115. You basically made it like an 80% return, I want to say. So incredible investment as well in terms of pickups. Kind of makes sense. You have seen it flatline recently. Same thing goes with a lot of this other specialty product as we've seen. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Crown Zenith, guys, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but Crown Zenith has something like this, and Crown Zenith, ends up being one of the best sets of all time. Would not surprise me if you saw something like this also do extremely well. Granted, Celebration 25th anniversary product, so it has that kind of weight to it, but I still think Crown Zenith is going to be a set that's going to be extremely desired. So maybe you say Hidden Fate specialty ETB. Imagine if they made something like that, how crazy that would be. And we obviously look at it from a short-term as well as a long-term implication, but more or less we're trying to look at the old product that we know did well and how we can compare that to future product and investments that we can make. Now, the last couple of product we are going to be looking at is the Arceus V Figure Collection. And I wanted to show this one on TCG Player because the product, one, is not that old, and then two as well, I think it looks a lot prettier when you look at it on TCG Player when it's being represented. But in terms of the overall value of this item, if you don't, of course, look at the pre-sale price and you look at the general value, you were able to pick it up for some places as cheap as $20, but general market MSRP was $25. Now, what is the value of the current item itself right now? It is $37. Please take into consideration, guys, this was a product that came out roughly around 7 months ago, 6 months ago. If you haven't watched my video, one of the biggest things that I talked about for the start of 2022 was I said, what is going to be one of my favorite pickups going into the year? I said that the Arceus V figure collection had all the signs of what was the best item to pick up in 2021, which was the Galar Pals box. It has a figure that's really cool. It has a promo that's really cool. It has a really good pack selection because it had a Cosmic Eclipse, but it had Rebel Clash. This has all of that, but it's on crack because it also has not only Cosmic, but it has Brilliant and Chilling, which are really good sets. So why, of course, did I like this product so much? It just followed the same patterns and trends. And now we're starting to see the prices finally increase for it. And not to mention that, not only are we seeing the prices increase, but this item, unlike the other items that I had, of course, shown you guys, all of those items came out near the end of 2021 and the start of 2022. This item is a little bit different because it came out in May of 2022. So this, by far, in terms of the value in which it is currently sitting at, has been one of the best performing items so far on this list in terms of the overall pace in which it is growing. It wouldn't surprise me if this item itself, by midway half into next year, within a full year of it being available, it would go up to, $50. I think it could easily hit that mark. It's only $13 away from that, and that seems like a pretty conservative mark. Of course, as always, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't make these general predictions, but if history were to repeat itself, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, considering this product's realistically only been available for the past 6 months, and it's already shot up $13, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to make a 55% increase in a 6-month period where volatility has started to die out within the past year for most general product outside of these high demand items, that's extremely, extremely good, especially since this was available at MSRP and for some places cheaper too. And if you've been following my videos as well, one of the biggest insider information pieces that I discussed with you guys was, of course, the rinse and repeating when it came to getting your Charizard special delivery codes consistently, and it was like free real estate every time you bought the code for $5 and you needed at least $20 to get free shipping. What did you do? You went and you bought the Arceus V box, and then of course you held on to that, and then you got your free delivery Charizard code that you could then flip, make $20 off of that. Basically the box paid for itself. Now you're not only starting to see, of course, the value of these items continuously increase, but you basically got it for free if you were following my advice when you were doing that kind of rinse and repeat method. So it's finally nice to see that it's been progressively climbing up slowly and surely. And if you want to look at the charts too, right? The price of it in October was at $30. So, and this was at the end of October, of course. So realistically, most of this value has happened within the past month or so. So it's starting to very much explode in its overall progression phase as an item. And it being at such a low price, it has a possibility of having a lot more movement upwards because when it comes to products like this versus a booster boxes have a lot higher of a kind of, they have a lot higher of a kind of sideways action that they can hit, but it's really hard for them in the short term to hit massive explosive gains. Of course, outside of Evolving Skies is always going to be the exception, not the rule. And you'll see it go sideways for a while. Same thing goes with specialty products. Kind of like how if we looked at the specialty, of course, a UPC for celebrations, if we looked at the specialty ETB for celebrations, all of those products have been going sideways more or less for a while now at their given price points of $100, $330, $50, etc., etc. This item is still sitting at a very low price of $30. Now, is that me saying that you should go invest it because, oh, this is such a great deal, it's going to go up to 100? No, that's not what I'm saying. If I'm being completely honest, I think you missed the boat unless you're getting this at MSRP at this price. What I am saying is that it has a lot more upside to go because there's going to be a lot of secondhand buyers that miss the boat that are going to want to FOMO into a product like this because in their mind, oh, this could go up to $100. Let me buy in at $40. That still seems extremely cheap. Don't be that guy that does that, but partake in it when people do that because the volume that is going to help bring up the price of this product, in my personal opinion, is more than likely going to be extremely high. But As far as it goes, though, that was the last item that we were looking at. More or less, kind of once again, wrapping up the point of the video. We looked at the best investments that we saw for the year of 2022, what you could potentially have yielded within a span of a year. And yes, a span of a year, in my personal opinion, is a short term, of course, investment, 6 months to a year. So there was multiple different flipping opportunities that you could have had to make money when looking at any of the product on this list within the past year, as well as this Arceus V figure collection in the past 6 months. I'm super excited to see what that's going to look like in the next year. And then obviously taking the product that we just looked up on this list and using that to kind of make predictions for future product that are at really good prices right now, such as, of course, Charizard Ultra Premium collections and future specialty ETBs for sets such as Crown Zenith. But as far as it goes for today's video, as always, you want to enter into our weekly giveaways. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We've got weekly giveaways that we do each and every week. And of course, we've got 3 winners each and every week, and you can comment and like in each video, so you got multiple opportunities to enter. As always, if you want to check out any of the links down in the description below to either support the channel or be a part of the community, check them out. We've got Discord, Patreon, and then both of our local game store and online retail stores websites. So I highly recommend you check those out if you want to take advantage of a lot of the special deals and offers we have going on, as well as joining in a lot of the fun within our Discord. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Wednesday. Peace.